Yeah. Anyway, hello everybody. I am incredibly ill, Cappy. I feel like absolute shit, so we can curse on this episode. I don't care to monetize it. I am just absolutely thoroughly confused because this has been increasing in crescendo beyond regular West Coast, East Coast spit spat kind of stuff. I wish Rollo would be here because he's a freaking lightning rod. It's like everybody loves Raymond, but everybody hates Rollo, so maybe he'll make it. But
They're running up the flagpole.
Every day. Rollo
Every
just goes
day.
right out to the flagpole and gets run up it, and then he gets just like his morning workout, and then he can get on with the rest of his day. But the reason I wanted to have you on, because you've been on this, I have just eschewed the drama. I don't care. I don't try to be friendly with everyone. I have a very simple rule: if no one bothered me or did anything untowards, I really like. For example, I don't really hate Jack Murphy or have an opinion about him one way or another. But this is now getting so big that people are dying and getting murdered.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But that's my point. And we've had some unfortunate bad news, which we are not allowed to say. And I'm looking at this, and then it's starting to. It's no longer where I could put my head in the sand and ignore it and just claim to be an old, confused man, and I don't know what frames rates per second is and all that, because this is ultimately have an effect on the brand name. And I don't want us kind of being lopped in with it. And it's not even these guys. It's just all the crap and the drama that comes with it. I mean, it's like middle school. So,
well, and to be fair, I'm doing it. I don't want you to think this is just some, oh my God, guys, check this out. Oh, buy my merch. There's actually like a fairly good critique of the whole like micro celebrity media thing here that I edge into my stuff that people might miss out on. Because in the end of all this, nobody cares. Do you guys remember Gillette back when they were the worst guys ever?
Yeah.
And Elliot Rodger, he was the worst guy ever.
Mm-hmm.
George Sodini, when he was the worst guy ever. The Montreal Tech shooter, when he was the worst guy ever. Do you remember when they found a sex tape of Paris? Like,
who killed Cecil the Lion? Can you name the guy who killed Cecil the Lion?
Dude, I don't even know what that's about.
That's the doctor or the dentist that he went on a safari, and on the preserve over in Africa, he shot a famous lion. His name was Cecil. And everyone's like, oh my God, you killed the cute lion, even though the lion probably killed many antelope or whatever and stuff like that. But I mean, that's just another data point for your example there.
Yeah. So I'll give you the history of it. But just like to preface this, you know what? This isn't, nobody cares. Everybody is worried about their paychecks. Everybody's worried about their growth. And everybody's worried about monetizing Outrage.
You're talking people. You're talking people participating, not the audience.
I'm talking the content creators.
Okay, all right.
Content creators, because Outrage sells. There's 2 books on this. If you guys want to know more, Ryan Holiday's "Trust Me, I'm Not Lying: Confessions of a Media Manipulator" and Vox Day's "Social Justice Warriors Always Lie." Read them in that order. You're going to understand exactly what's going on, and you're going to see behind it on a term I call the kayfabe. Kayfabe is like pro wrestling, right? Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, you kind of like, they set up this theater, this drama.
So let me tell you something. Right.
Yeah. And as a kid, you're like, I get it. Hulk Hogan's not real. Santa's not real, but I'll buy the lie anyway. But in this stuff, it seems a little harder to do. So now we get to Jack Murphy. And this story starts in, I want to say 2018, back when the convention that shall not be named invited us, naive little startup content creators with the blog to come on in and talk about whatever we're doing. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. Met him. He seemed like quiet, not very, and I could see why now, but like quiet, whatever. And he's kind of talking about his thing. And it was like 20 guys I had never heard of before. They're like, yeah, we're Red Pill. This has been great. And I'm like, who the hell are all these people? It's like you said, like, where did you come from? But like, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then whatever. And so they do their thing. And then Red Pill was cool for about 6 months. And then everybody's, oh, you know what? I could be a much bigger if I leave it to become TradCon. And like everybody knew that Jack Murphy had his whole wife swinger thing and the 2015 article where, and here's the funniest part. So here's why all of this started. It's because Jack Murphy, he got that horrible divorce from his wife. She weaponized the kids, got him canceled from his job.
How long ago is this? Because I know nothing of the background. 2014.
Like 10 years ago.
Okay, it's quite some time ago. All right.
And he was like, the sad thing, because it's like, the story. The guy's like, I just want to spend time with my kids. And she's like, no, I hate you. Weaponizes the system against you. Don't get married. That stuff. So very sympathetic tale. So eventually he gets with a new girlfriend. And he's worried about falling into that same trap. So he's trying to think to himself, and he's written about this himself if you read the articles. So you can check this stuff if you want. And he's like, I don't ever want to get one-itis like that again, to the point where I screw up my life. So he's like, I'm going to open up the relationship. We're going to do some kink stuff. I'm like, yeah, fine, fill your boots. You've raised your 2 kids. You did what you had to do.
So far, I find that's a question I have. So far, I'm like, so what? You know, like,
exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
All right.
So what? And he wrote an article. That's back when everybody was like, yeah, this is how you meet women. This is how you get red pill. This is the one thing he was known for. He's like, in order to prove I don't have one-itis for this, I am going to tell my girl to go get on a Tinder date. No, she's going to go get, slept with. And then I'm just going to like deal with my inner demons. And I'm like, not the way I would have done it, but fair enough. If it works for you, power to you.
Right.
And it's just like dating anyway, right? Who cares? People date, they sleep with other people. That's why it's dating.
Right. Yeah. No, I could totally see with men who've had their heart kicked out of them, like you don't really get attached again. You're kind of like, you suck that guy's dick. All right, fine. Whatever. But I can see his angle so far. I'm trying to figure out where we came to all hate Jack Murphy.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. So when I had met him, we were talking about this stuff and he was worried about this coming back to bite him in the ass. And I just explained it the way I explained it to you, right? You did your thing. You made some mistakes. You're learning experiences. Maybe not the way I would have done it, but whatever. I got a kink. Let it go. I guess he had fallen on some hard times during that time too. And he had to do a bunch of unsavory pro bono, or not pro bono, but pro bone projects.
He had to do some sterling work.
Yeah, he had to do some sterling work.
Right.
Hetero flexible, he calls it. So it's cringy stuff, it's embarrassing stuff, but whatever. It's not the first sex tape.
So far, he hasn't done anything wrong. I don't hear any children hurt or anyone aggrieved.
No, nothing wrong. And that's the point. That's where it could have ended. But doing the Tim Pool thing, Tim Pool's big. Everybody starts getting attention to it. He goes on this.
Wait, does he go on Tim Pool or him?
Yeah, he's
Tim
like
Pool,
a regular. Right? He's been on there.
He's
for
a
like
regular
50
on
episodes.
Tim Pool. All right, okay.
And Tim's been very good about shielding all this stuff from me. He's like, I got $1 million business. I don't got time for your crap, Jack. He goes on this thing from, I think, Blaze TV with the Sydney something or other, some trad chick. I don't know. 28-year-old. All of a sudden, now I'm at the epiphany phase. Now I want to settle down and find a nice trad man. Fill your boots. So she gets on there just clueless. Somebody, I don't know who he is, but this one random anonymous poster started this all with a $5 super chat. He's like, hey, ask Jack about the cuck article. Jack's had, at this point, 7 years to think this over and like, how do I describe this? He's had multiple people, including me, tell him how to narrate this. Just honest.
The truth would be fine. The truth would be okay.
Red pill 101. Own your shit, right? Own your shit. You're your own judge. Don't dear. Don't defend, excuse, explain, rationalize. And this is the part that I find vindicating on it because I've been boringly putting out videos telling guys how to be red pilled forever. And all these mega stars could have just paid attention to the first 3 of them and not been any of this shit. So she asks him, what's this about a cuck article? He loses it on TradCon TV, yelling at the girl, fuck you, F you. So naturally, yelling at a wee little girl on her own TV show doesn't work well with the trads. And then somebody has it in for him and everybody starts releasing all of this stuff.
So this gave the green light to have everyone go pile on him.
Right. So then the murderer thing. Happenstance, 100% happenstance. It's a totally separate issue here. You like story time, by the way? I'm kind of.
I love story time with Uncle Ryan. Tell us a story, Uncle Ryan.
So there's this guy, Roman McClay. I didn't really know him too well. You kind of see people that are making noise on Twitter. You're like, oh, okay, I know the name, but I don't know the guy.
They come up on the radar, yeah.
And then everybody starts talking about this book called Sanction. And so I'm like, all right, that was right about the time that I was releasing mine. I think Numbers was still a couple months away. I'm like, all right, let's check this thing out. I get it the free sample. I read it. The introduction basically calls me a low IQ moron for not understanding what he's trying to tell me. And I'm like, if I just wanted to get berated, I could just talk to my girl, right? So I'm like, whatever.
You can hang out with me. I'll berate you.
He went on with like Zuby and Hunter. Basically, you know all those guys that hate Rolo and they make a career out of it?
Well, that's why I got to ask, because I kind of know there's this Ort cloud of hatred that all have a hate boner for Rolo.
So I don't know.
That's why I got to figure out.
It's literally come out of nowhere at this point. And it's almost like if you want to get on that 21 convention thing, hate Rolo and he'll give you a spot. So they were all sucking the tittle of this guy's book. This is the greatest book I've ever read. Glaring reviews. It's the most wonderful. And I like I said, I don't really pay attention to those guys, so I didn't pay attention to it. But it's funny now because as soon as that Roman alleged murder thing happened, I get it up in the morning. I was just cracking jokes at stuff. I didn't realize I didn't read further up on the tweet where they're like, yeah, murdered 6 people. And I'm like, yeah, let's just post this. Felt really bad about that. Anyways, so you find out about this stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, let's looking to see what everybody's doing. Because I remember back when other people had embarrassing stuff, they just delete everything, pretend it didn't happen. I'm like, no. You guys have been pricks to us for 3 straight years, harassing Rolo's kids, and like, yeah, no.
Okay, so there is bad blood, because frankly, Rolo
well,
would
it's
never
one-sided. But at this point, I'm like, you know, you get punched in the face by a bully 8 or 9 times. He gives you brass knuckles. You're like, what can you do? I'm only human.
Right.
So we looked this stuff, and it turns out, like, as I'm looking, who's done reviews of the book, and who's done podcasts with him, and who's called him a good friend and taken photos. It's like that movie Hackers, where like you're deleting stuff and pulling plugs as the guy's hacking the network. It felt like that, and I'm like, holy crap! All of these guys, again, Red Pill 101: don't dear, don't defend, explain, excuse, rationalize, don't hide the badness. That's year 1, Robert Glover, How to Stop Being a Nice Guy Simp. And they're all avoiding all of this stuff. And they've been touting how they were the reddest pill guys to ever read Alpha Pill.
Let me interrupt just so I understand. I don't think it's necessarily a sin if they read this. I tried to look up Sanction. I mean, how popular of a book was it? It's been taken down now, but if it's got 1,000 reviews, and sure, I mean, I might have read that book.
7,000th on the top Amazon book reviews. So
that's very high. Yeah, that's pretty high.
But it was all built on marketing. Like if you read the thing, it's just nonsense. It's literally, what do they call it? And it was just coincidence because Nick August has his Let It Burn podcast. And I was on there with Rule Zero Dad and a couple other guys. We were just like shooting the shit about the end of the year. And like, remember that piece of crap book we all hated? And we all trashed it like a week before this. So like, we're on the record of honestly not liking the book before it became fashionable to do so. Mm-hmm. But that was the thing. And so we're like, why is everybody hiding from this? You're like, you know what? This is a great teaching experience. And then, I don't know, have you heard Rolo's thing about the nachos?
Yes, how we need carne asada. The nachos are merely a vehicle.
Everybody kind of like, okay, so that's the game right now. Tap into the outrage culture, get views, we get it. So we're holding our nose, and I'm doing it. I don't really care about this stuff, same as you, but at the same time, I got a mortgage to pay, so, oh my God, cuck static. Whatever.
12 ways.
I mean, I see your thumbnail for this video alone, so you know what I'm talking about.
Hey, I had Chris Beckloff sent me that image. I'm like, okay. And again, I don't hate Jack Murphy. The guy's never done anything, but that was pretty funny. I had to use that.
Pleasant people to talk to them. Nothing but wonderful experiences I've ever had with them. Granted, I've never like done any of the kink stuff with them, so maybe there's something different. I don't know. But that was the point. Like, this is a great learning experience. Everybody's talking about frauds and grifters, and this guy's an idiot, and this guy's an idiot. It's like, well, right here, everybody's wondering, how do you tell? Like, here's how you tell. Here's the stuff that the Red Pill's been talking about for the last 10 years. How Aaron Clary's been saying, get your shit together. Rich Cooper's been saying, do the work. Rolo's been saying, mental point of origin. I've been saying, you ain't shit, and that's okay. And here's a perfect example of everybody you guys think is wonderful doing the exact opposite and the consequences of it. What a wonderful teaching experience. And so that's where all this drama stuff's come from on our side.
So it would be the because here's the thing. You and I, especially you being in the Navy, I mean, dude, I got plenty of skeletons in the closet. Every single one of us could be probably taken down. And your
I don't think so though. Like, are you embarrassed? Like, you're embarrassed about them?
Well, I'm embarrassed by that. What's that?
Like, would it be the point where if somebody found out, I don't know, maybe you like Ford trucks and that's like the worst thing ever, you start burning your hat?
It wouldn't be that light, but it wouldn't be like, you know, I did porn or anything like that, and a drunken advance or something like that.
But you said it yourself. Nobody cares that Jack has his little kink lifestyle. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. What they cared about was that he was hiding from it and ashamed of it and lying about it and getting angry at everybody, to the point where he was trying to find personal information about Jeremy from the Quartering's family, from his illimitable order or whatever. That's what people didn't like.
Okay, and so and this is what I was trying to get at, seeing if there's like this universal common thread aside from a pure hate boner for Rolo. Was it also then these people would put the fake copyright claims and kind of play dirty after this? Because that seems to happen in several things. Oh, okay.
But that's the thing, right? It's at the end of the day, it's a bunch of people who bought into their own personal WrestleMania with this. Jack's traditional conservative and we love God and that. And all of a sudden it's like dicks and porn and fake things and yelling at women. And all of a sudden everybody has the fourth wall lifted and nobody's happy because they like their little pleasant illusions. Like, what's it you call it, Rolo? The Disney blue-pilled fantasy?
Oh, yeah.
You're watching it break down in real time and people are losing their minds.
Yeah.
A more direct question, because again, I'm trying to unpack all this and put it, because my audience they probably don't care much about the drum, but Roland, if you weren't here, we're talking about how this starts. Well, okay, never mind. I'm sure my analytics will prove me wrong on that, but I'm more concerned because of the fallout of this, and not that this is a brand or anything, but now that people are starting to die, and it's kind of it's kind of now where it's like, I got to figure out why does everyone hate you? That would be a great question I have to ask. Like, why you? Like, you are the most.
He had standards.
Standards. I got into this.
Remember, actually, can I, one thing? We did have this because Bruno asked this to him. We're like, this purity test and crap like that. And that's kind of where people were kind of nipping at Rolo when he was talking about this.
Why did they hate you so much?
And that was the thing. He said, look, we're here for rule 0. We're here to help men. If you're on board with that, we don't care about the rest. That was the only standard Rolo set. And that's kind of where this all started.
What 5-6 years ago?
Yeah.
I got a guy who's
just be here to do good work, be professional, and help guys. That was it.
I don't think it was that long ago. Oh man. Why do they hate? Well, I've been doing this a very long time. Like, starting tomorrow, it'll be 20 years. I can't believe coming
kidding, really?
Words are coming out of my mouth. I kind of look at my, I guess, anniversary as like about 2002 was when I started really getting into the So Suave community on, back in the day as forums, it was a seduction community. There was like 2 main forums back then. And So Suave's still around now. So, to their credit, they're actually been around for a bit, but, no, I mean, when the old school PUAs were doing their thing, when it was Neil Strauss and Mystery and all them, even Owen from Real Social Dynamics, who, by the way, was on Tim Pool just last night. So I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't want to be on Tim Pool. I don't want that taint. But no, I mean, it's been around for a very long time. And so I think probably half of the reason why people get all bent out of shape with me is because I know where their bodies are buried. That's the thing with the whole thing about Jack Murphy was I've known the dude since 2009 when he was yucking it up with Mike Cernovich. And that was back when Mike Cernovich was called Juice Bro, because he was doing his juicing phase. He was selling
that phase, yes.
Yeah, that was then. And then it was Wim Hof breathing after that. And that was some entertaining shit, let me tell you. He would start videos out with like a howler monkey, man, sweating in a sweat box somewhere. And then he decided that he wanted to be a citizen journalist, just like Tim Pool was at the time. I don't think people really realize the history that Tim Pool even has. And Tim used to be one of these
legit, guys. Legit background in journalism. He did research journalism.
Yeah, he was Vice during the Gavin McInnes years, wasn't he?
Yes, definitely. And I can remember getting into Tim Pool when he would go around Berkeley riots and protests with a GoPro strapped to his forehead, to get his footage. And so I remember when he was actually doing on the street kind of legitimate, I don't want to say journalism, but certainly like on, man on the street kind of thing. And then he sort of evolved into what he is today. Same thing with Cernovich right around 2015 when Trump was starting to, pick up steam. That's when everybody got on board with all that. Like Candace Owens used to call herself Red Pill Black. People saying, oh, it's Candace and she's on like Daily Wire and she's got her own TV show and everything now. And it's like, yeah, but she came up through Twitter just like Cernovich and just like the rest of these guys. And so I think maybe one of the reasons why I rub those guys the wrong way is because I remind them of their past. I remind them of the digital footprint that they have. And in this case, Jack Murphy has a very long digital footprint, as we're all seeing right now. I've known about that Cuck article since at least 2017 or 2018, I think, Ryan. Is that?
Well, I remember before he took it down, even that long ago.
Yeah, well, he took it down. Well, he had it up in 2015, and then I remember when people were coming at him and reposting that the link that was still live on his blog then, and that's when he closed his blog, and you have to go find an archived copy of it. But that's when I think he just didn't think that anybody would sort of dig into his past, which was interesting considering he made a living off of being the guy that got doxxed by Antifa or cancel culture or whatever it is. And for a guy who is so anti-woke and doxing and anti-woke culture, it was really remarkable to me to see how quickly he would resort to the same thing himself when his back is pushed up against the wall and he's got no other resort, nothing left to resort to. So as I was saying with like Ryan, when we did my show, 2 days ago, a lot of the comments were like, oh, well, it doesn't matter that these guys were in pictures with a mass murderer. It doesn't matter that they were in pictures with Jack Murphy. It doesn't matter that they were shaking hands and doing interviews and going to private dinners with this Roman McClay guy. It doesn't matter because that's just guilt by association. And you shouldn't think the worst of somebody just because they were like, oh, I don't know, like giving them glowing endorsements for the last 4 years.
And they didn't read the book. There's no way they read it.
There's no way they read the book.
I didn't read Ryan's book either. None of yours, Rollo, either. I just took a guess.
Well, but I think it's the height of irony because these are the same people who'll give me shit for Fresh and Fit and being associated with Fresh and Fit, right? It's like, okay, well, if that's the standard, if that's what we're going to say, then you got no leg to fucking stand on. You also have no leg to stand on anytime you see Giselle Maxwell or just Lane Maxwell in a shot with Harvey Weinstein or whatever. If that's the case, then that whole oh, look, is this you? That doesn't work. If we're not going to say guilt by association, if we're not going to say, hey, birds of a feather, right? Even Anthony decided he wanted to go dig up some old picture of me, like with Jack Murphy, the one shot of me and Jack Murphy at his event that he invited him to, that I said was a bad idea at the time. I have the text to prove. I got the receipts to prove that, but I thought we weren't supposed to judge a book by its cover. I thought we weren't supposed to have guilt by association if it's in a photo. No, only when it's Rollo. Only when it's you, man. Then all bets are off.
Would it also be the fact that you're one of the longest serving, if not the longest serving person in the red pill community, that you've been on point this entire time and you don't go purpose hopping, like island hopping? Like, I know one guy, I won't mention his name, but first it was politics, then it was the red pill, then it was a God pill, which we've known several people to do that. And I'm not even judging whether, okay, if you found Jesus and all that, I'm very happy for you. But this is why I have no respect for Cernovich. Cernovich was just hopping and like, oh, can I get ahead? And so is it that where people are like, oh, they're consistent and they know that I'm essentially a fraud? Like they're afraid they're going to get me exposed? Because here's the problem with island hopping. You never develop the expertise or the background to authenticate your self-declared position or expert status in the field. Like that AlphaCon, was that it? Here, I need to know. I do not know.
I don't even know. But Ryan just made me aware of that today.
I've never heard of it
until
that 15 minutes ago.
Is that real or is that a joke?
Tanner Guzzi. It's Tanner. I think it's Tanner's group.
I don't know.
Well, that makes sense. You saw the Rockies in the background. I'm like, maybe that is Utah.
What's happening in Utah? I think it's a Salt Lake City.
Okay. Oh yeah. So the Mormons have got their mystery method going. Okay.
Yeah, it's red pill Mormonism is what it is.
Well, I thought it was kind of a joke because it's 555 Main Street.
Well, I mean, it is, but
is that real?
It's not like 667, the neighbor of the beast.
As long as nobody's getting murdered at this point, I'm like, eh.
Well, and so maybe, and again, I'm trying to unpack it and figure it out. Maybe that's why people generally don't like us, or there's even riffs or anything like that. Is at least one of the many angles is that there's this lack of authenticity where these nobodies. Well, for example, and one of the cheapest shots is somebody trying to take down somebody else because of their name to pole vault their product or their content. And I'm not going to mention what, but Rollo, I sent you that link. And it's like these freaking no ones, like these avatar experts.
Oh, that's not the first book, by the way. That's like number 2 or 3, I think, right, Ryan?
On you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's another guy, Trueheart, did the same thing. He was a
Trueheart
National Guard.
Trueheart, Care Bear.
But that's the thing. Like, yeah, this is the game, right? Everybody knows this is, and you see it here. Dude, you can go to like the Tekken community, like fighting games, and they're doing the exact same shit there. The
like
same shit
what? Talking smack about the better Tekken
politics.
Yes. There's a guy on there right now. His name is the Blasted Salami. I know the name is Goofy. He's like a notable guy, is like the guy who does like help and tech manuals and stuff like that.
It couldn't be any worse than Gay Lou Boyle.
Exactly. Yeah, he got Me Too'd by some Japanese chick that was like slandering him for clout. It's the same thing. That's why I'm saying it's like, it's not a men are idiots. No, that's just how media is designed now. Because on Rollo's thing, how many people watched your live stream, Rollo?
Which one? The one
the one we just did with all the drama and nonsense.
I think it's over 40,000. Right? It might be 50,000 by now. But all you got to do is put Jack Murphy in the title. or Roman McClay in the title. It's trending. I mean, you don't even have to be red pill. Just put Roman McClay in your title, and you're gonna get eyes on the screen.
Yeah, and if yours is anything like mine, like you see your stats like on a little chart, how your thing's doing over time. The Roman McClay thing is just dwarfing everything, and so everybody's here like, I don't like this drama. It's like, yeah. And people waited till like 45 minutes into Rollo's podcast to complain about the drama. Like, but you're here.
What are you putting on those nachos, Rollo? A little bit of Roman McClay?
There, you can barely taste the chips, man.
Garbage. Dude, I feel so dirty, Rollo.
That was the best metaphor I ever came up with, and I knew the minute that came out of my mouth, there's going to be some guy who goes, well, I kind of like both.
Yeah.
Just fucking kill me. Just kill me.
Help me again, and this is how dumb I am. I only had to look it up. Explain to me Anthony the Dream Johnson, but spread it out, not so quickly, and not with.
That's all yours. I'm out.
Well, no, I don't. I had to look.
Rollo's got this one.
He's an 18-year-old kid, and
he's 35 or 36, going on 12. So let's just.
Well, but when he started, wasn't he a younger man?
Yeah,
I know he was younger, but he was in his late teens, wasn't he, when he started this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so here you get this gift.
He created a convention back when conventions were something that could be viable. They were, I think, I want to say he started back in like 2008 or 2009. That might even be earlier than that. But he started the 21 convention back in, I think, the late 2000s at the very least. And he was inviting guys who were just, I mean, he was kind of, doing pick and pull, like scooping up whoever would show up at his conventions and have them speak. And then he was like monetizing because this is when YouTube, I don't even think Google had bought out YouTube by then. And he was just putting stuff up. He had his own channel going, and it was sort of like it was conventions were like commercially viable then. Today, I think they're less viable simply because we can do online classes, and there's just so many other ways to. It's kind of like having cam girls as a business, and then having OnlyFans come in and eat your lunch, that kind of thing. So
hypothetically speaking,
yes. So what he made quite a bit of money, I think, at least in the early days, by getting sort of what I would call purple pill guys who are just sort of positivity hustlers, or guys who are like, spiritual guru kind of guys. And then there was occasionally sprinkled in was a pickup artist or something like that. And then he would do demos, and the old stuff, like by today's standards, if you go back and you look at his stuff from like the 21 convention videos from like say 2009 or so, it's very cringe today, but back then that was like cutting edge.
Yeah.
And so he's done that. He's done nothing else besides that. He dropped out of college so that he could do these conventions like full time, and probably was making a good chunk of change in the early days. And then right around 2016, 2017, he was hitting some hard times, and it wasn't paying off, or nobody wanted to work with him for whatever reason. He got sort of quote unquote married to Medusa at that time, which was his first, I guess, only wife, but they weren't really married. It wasn't like a legal thing. It was just sort of a ceremony kind of thing.
All right.
And then of course, if you've watched his video, this very lengthy verbose video about how she was actually an escort and a hooker and whatever. At the same time, she was basically rolling all of the guys at the convention, because she was an integral part of the convention.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so he got really bent out of shape. And of course, he is a pathological personality. I would argue he's got narcissistic personality disorder and probably OCD, if not manic depression.
Well, now you have the psychological background. I do not, and that's where I'm. Maybe that's the explanation.
He's on the spectrum for sure. I don't play a doctor on the internet, but from my experience, he's certainly on the spectrum.
Is this where now? Was he filing lawsuits, or was this somebody else? Like, I think Donovan Sharp wanted to do a convention.
The only lawsuit that I have actually been aware of has been the one from John Anthony against John from Modern Life Dating, and that was a joke too. Now, the reason why all this legal stuff gets tossed around, I only back in 2019 when Anthony decided he wanted to put a knife in my back. Actually, not just Anthony, at the behest of Anthony, but there's a lot of other guys that did too. In fact, most of those guys are the guys who are shaking hand, glad handing it with a mass murderer now. But those guys,
all those screenshots, by the way, of that I've noticed they kind of left me out of a lot of that initial thing for that.
I got so many receipts, dude. I have so many receipts I've been sitting on for like years right now. Yeah. So anyways, that was back when Rich and I and Anthony had decided we were going to make an LLC out of the Red Man Group, because things were taking off as a variety show, I guess. And then that's when sort of Anthony showed his true colors. He was working with DDJ, as Infamous Rifle has done lots and lots of videos.
Who's DDJ? I mean, like, give me the Cliff
DDJ
Notes
is
version.
actually AKA Bob Lewis, and he's part of the MGTOW community and has been for a long time. Misandry Today. And then DDJ, by the way, stands for Doomsday Jesus or some shit like that. And it's easier if you just simply go over to Infamous Rifle's channel and look at the videos he's done. He used to be really solid partners with TFM until he started hanging out with Anthony, and Anthony and him had some sort of backroom deal about bringing him on the Red Man group. And then, DDJ decided to fuck over Turd-Flinging Monkey. And that was a whole big deal going on back in 2018,
to like the latter half of 2018 now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there's no like elevator pitch for this, Cappy. I'm sorry, but it's the Red Man Group was going pretty well. I'd trademarked the name. I had put I'd done the logo and I was doing all the marketing and all the advertising and everything for it at that time. And so it was me, Rich, and Anthony. And then because of the DDJ dust up, a lot of DDJ's MGTOW army was coming at Rich Cooper at that time, and they were like going after his daughter and his daughter's YouTube channel, and that was not fucking cool. So at that point we had a meeting. There was a big blowout right around February of 2019, and that's when Rich decided to say, fuck it, I'm out, which he, to his credit, he did before I did. The only reason I stuck it out was because I knew that we were going to be doing a gig in Poland, and people wanted to see me in Poland, so that's what I was hanging around for. And then, of course, June 1st or 2nd came around, and that's when I was locked out of the Red Man Group. I was locked out of our credit card. Our corporate credit card was canceled for me. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm done, And so he was coming at me with all these, these accusations. And he had to find some way to sort of demonize me, to kick me out of the group and make everyone think that I was a real bad guy. Because if you're going to go at me, you better go all the fucking way. And I was the guy that more or less brought his convention back from the brink in 2016 end of 2016, 2017 and 2018. Mm-hmm. And because he was doing GoFundMe programs with Socrates back then. Yeah.
And then when I for free too, that was the worst.
I did it for free.
You didn't take a dime.
I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I got a free ride out to Orlando, and I got my hotel taken care of, and I got a free dinner. That was pretty much it. That was
but what we could kind of summarize all this as is psychopathy or mental illness, because I don't see how a logical man goes from, I got a brand name here of good conventions, we got some good speakers, Big Tent, and whatever people's disagreement with Donovan Sharp might be, he did the Big Tent thing, and he had different people from different beefs and all that, and everyone got along. So I kind of really appreciated it for that. But I can understand, one, psychopathy, where you're mentally ill and you go from, okay, I got a pretty good brand name, to power plays, and you can't just chalk that up to youthful naivete of a 25-year-old man. You really got to screw the pooch and have a wire missing to do that.
When you see the video of him like staring blankly at the teleprompter, declaring himself the president of the manosphere, that's not a joke. That's reality in his head. That's why I said he's a pathological personality. Pathological liars do this. They create their own reality, and they lie and lie and lie and expect you to feed into that lie, for you to believe in that lie, and is to say, okay, well, this is the way the world works. And so the pathology is creating your own little sort of escapism, your own fantasy world in which you are the president, in which you are the secret king, in which you are the one who's actually calling the shots, whether that's, reality or not. Like, you take somebody like, say, Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs had a reality distortion bubble. If you read his biography, that's the first thing they will say. And in his case, he had the money and the means and everything else to sort of make that happen. Same thing I would argue for like guys like Elon Musk, maybe Jeff Bezos. But Anthony Johnson is isn't any of those guys.
You're not successful enough to be crazy, sir.
Yeah, but that's just garden variety crazy. And here's the thing about pathological personalities, Cap, is that when you don't like people who are good at hiding their sort of functional autism or their OCD or their pathologies or whatever, when they're good at hiding it, they seem like just regular dudes that you can go hang out with until you tell them no. Until you say no, Your world is not the pathological world you live in is not the reality. When you tell them no, that's when they turn into this petulant child, and that's when they lose their shit. And that's what would explain a guy who has things going for him and other people helping him out, wanting to buff him out and help him create something. That's when he feels threatened, and that's when he feels like, hey, this guy said my reality isn't right, so fuck him.
Well, and I don't know. I'm no therapist, and I don't want to accuse people of mental illness, but it seems irrational at the least to do that. A plausible excuse, because I just want to cover my bases here. Also, so there was the guy that killed people, presumably, obviously off. Anthony Green Johnson, irrational. Like, why would you kill the golden goose that laid the golden eggs? Who is Jonathan Johnson?
Oh, the fact
pickup artist,
Johnny.
John would be better to tell you about that guy.
Yeah, it's essentially some pickup artist. Nobody knew who the heck he was.
He's a 21.
And then just one day, out of the blue, he starts throwing hit videos out on all of us because it was like, okay, we just figured it was another guy that's like, I need to go to 21 Con. I'll make fun of Rollo on a video. And
so he's just climbing that corporate ladder then.
That's all it was. And I never took it seriously.
Anybody who wants to shit on me is instantly Anthony's friend because that feeds into that pathology.
Or the laziness,
Stedman, by the way, too.
Oh, it's super lazy.
Okay, there's another one. Who the hell is Pat Stedman? I mean, how much time do we have?
Dude,
we're tired of hearing me blab, so go ahead, Ryan. You tell me.
Yeah, dude, Pat Stedman. I love this guy.
and tried it for the sake of let's not just throw dirt on the man.
I don't have to. I'm just going to describe it.
Is he irrational? Is he just trying to make a name?
He's a rich kid from New York, lived with his parents. He did pick up for a couple years, same as me, but then afterwards he just got weird about it. He did periscopes all the time and he was just like another personality, right? He got himself a Polish girlfriend that he eventually married, had a kid with. And then starts talking about the lizard people and the Illuminati and energy crystals. And he used to do just like whatever gets attention. So I remember his big claim to fame back in the day was, I just did a coffee enema, ask me anything. And he was literally talking about shoving crap up his butt.
Glad I screen capped that.
Yeah, which, I mean, whatever. That's all in good fun. Whatever. Have a good laugh. Oh, what an idiot. Yeah. But then he does the same thing that everybody else does. I want to spot in this convention too. Now Rollo's a dick. I'm a dick. We're, fornicators or whatever the hell.
He's the preeminent authority on hypergamy now.
But yeah, just whatever grabs attention. He did a workout once on film. So he's like, there, I work out, boys. He's like, you're still a lanky stick. You have to work out more than once. But that's not what this is about either. And here, I'll clear you into this, Clary. So the Trump, remember the January 6th thing? I think you might have heard about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he went to that. He started live streaming everything. And it turns out some friend of his from high school who hates his ass turned him into the feds. So he got arrested for that. Now, that's not the part that I want you guys to take as a learning experience. I'm not just going to do drama here. He had just had a brand new baby, 6 months old. His plan was moved in with his parents for the last year to save up some money. They were going to move to Poland, start a new life as an expat. Right. Weeks before they were scheduled to fly out and go live their life. Weeks before, he goes and does this, gets arrested, ends up brand
for
new
what
kid,
at the riot protest
at the riot thing,
okay.
And they take his passport. He's still in limbo right now, and you're seeing the stories coming out. They're throwing the key at all these guys. So I don't know what's happened to him. I don't even care. But it was just such a wonderful example. He's calling guys like Rollo and you and me a bunch of degenerate asses. Meanwhile, he's basically
me a degenerate ass. What?
All of us. Yeah. Meanwhile, here's a good example. He could have had a great family. All he had to do was just stay home. Talking about American politics, like, you're moving to Poland. Aren't you checked out? It's like, no. I get a lot of views on this. Well, I hope it was worth it. And that's the example. All these guys, they were LARPing. Anything that gets me attention. Whatever narrative I have to tell. And it is psychological. If you look up narcissistic personality disorder in the DSV, Rollo just described it. Build a narrative of your identity in your head. Attack anybody who attacks your identity. Don't do any work to achieve it. That's a mental disorder. And that's where this is so common. And half the MGTOW guys with the whaminate, shit things, they're all doing it to some extent. And so it's actually a pretty big problem among just men in general. You blame it on millennials, but it's like men in general. And so it's like and that's the fun part. How do you say it, Rollo? It's crazy attracts crazy or whatever.
Well, it's pathological personalities attract other pathological personalities into their orbit. That's why.
And they hit this perfect storm.
Amongst them tends to be the one that's the loudest.
because their natural state is this outrage stuff that gets clicks and gets attention. So the craziest people become the most popular crazy people. And then the crazy people use them to feed into their delusions of self-grandeur. And you have this whole, everybody's just feeding off of the same thing. And then eventually somebody snaps and does something stupid. And then everybody has to pretend, well, I didn't know. How could this have happened? I was just busy LARPing about being a lumberjack. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's what everybody did with Pat Stedman when he got arrested. That's what everybody did with Rollo when Anthony got mad at him. That's what everybody's doing now that Roman murdered those people.
Yeah,
and they're going to do it again with Jack Murphy.
Definitely like Roman McClay, or was Lyndon McCloud, aka Roman McClay. That dude was the cat's meow amongst all those guys, man. He was a dominant pathological personality that attracted all those other pathological personalities into his orbit. And if you don't believe me, there's about a bajillion tweets out there that they're trying to flush down a memory hole right now that shows exactly what was going on over the course of like really 4 years about this dude. So there's no getting away from this. It is irrefutable that Anthony Johnson personally invited this guy to the 21 convention. Whether or not he spoke there, I don't know. I wasn't there. I was out a long time before that.
Nobody watched it either.
I don't know if there's video. I don't know. He's certainly never going to deliver it if it is, but there's some really high profile guys like Zuby who had an interview of him. And I'm not shitting on Zuby because I like Zuby, but that's what I'm talking about. Is
he actually did come out with that. He's like,
legitimacy.
He put out a statement saying it's my only thing on the matter. He actually did own it. I left the audio stuff up. I took the video stuff down because I don't want his family to have this shit floating around. I talked to him. Didn't know. This is tragic. He actually did it the right way. It just took him a while. I guess he's been watching your podcast. He's like, that's actually not a bad idea. Maybe just be honest and own my shit. So good on him.
So like say, hey man, this guy was what was hot at the time and everybody was suggesting it. Unfortunately, everybody suggesting it were also pathological personalities drawn into this guy's orbit.
Well, and let me ask about this, going back to authenticity. I've said this before.
Well, honesty or sincerity, not authenticity. I think that's important.
Yeah, they give him. He has borrowed legitimacy, is what he had.
Well, no, I'm talking authenticity from a completely different angle. Because what I'm trying to do is like those guys. I'm also morbidly curious why the heck Rollo's the lightning rod of the red pill community. I'm glad it's him. I'm glad it's him and not me. But I'm trying to like point out to anyone who's new, and I'm not saying we're the only true God. And
no, there's a bunch of good, decent guys out there.
We're not an ideology. That's the problem. That's you want to know why they hate me, because I don't align with their ideological perspectives. That's why. They want the red meat they want, Ryan, is, and he hates Antifa and he's there for reuniting. Well, save the West, save the West. Rollo's not save the West. He's like, here's nuts and bolts, and it's all irrational. It's the rational male, right? It's all empiricism, and that doesn't taste good. And you know what? For as much as I lean into it when it comes to like women being emotional and wanting to speak emotional languages and stuff like that, tradcons are no different, by the way. I think maybe I should make that clear. They have a different flavor of that emotionalism.
Here's a dark observation, because you wrote it. And when you wrote your book on religion, I was thinking you're going to go down this route. You took a different route that was much more, I guess, ground up or tools and practical use. But I've been noticing a trend, because women are biologically the number one thing for men, that the red pill is slowly becoming a religion, because this is where you go. Instead of going to church, you go to Rule Zero.
Some guys,
yeah, for a lot of guys, and I'm not slamming that either, because I don't know what religion has done except make a bunch of wars and provide hope. But at least with the red pill, it's practical, or at least in theory. Yeah, so there's a practicality and purpose and agency in living. But now we got a bunch of Jimmy Swaggers. Ryan Stone's too young to know about that guy, but that's what I'm kind of starting to see here.
Well, okay, so let's okay, I understand why you have that perspective. I've said this, I think I mentioned this on Rule Zero. We're teachers, right? Now, when you look at, let's look at this statistically speaking. We have the Lost Boys generation of at least the latter half of the millennials and pretty much all of the Gen Z right now. These are guys who are rudderless in life, right? They're functionally have no purpose. They don't go to school. They're dropping out. Like Milo Yiannopoulos, even when he was writing for Breitbart, wrote this really brilliant article at that time about the dropout generation. What was it? Jordan Peterson called them the Lost Boys. I still refer to them as the Lost Boys. These are the guys, this generation of men who, between the ages of, say, like, really 16, but you can go 18 to about 28 or 29, somewhere out there. They're not going to school. They have just, minimal ambition. They're jerking off to porn. They've got their sedation. Like you'll hear this like from tradcons all the time. Men need to take responsibility and stop playing with themselves. And that's because they don't know anything different, right? That sounds like it's the solution. But these guys are sedating themselves with weed, with porn, with this stuff, with constantly with
video
social
games,
media,
yeah, right, everything. Yeah.
Video games, they're playing video games. Like so, it's those guys, and so at the same time, women are going to school and enrolling in colleges, and as you have astutely pointed out many times, they're getting worthless degrees, and they're running up student debt and everything else. But at the same time, the guys who they complain about being economically unattractive, those are the guys, and they're not going to school. They're not going to college, because why would I want to go to college? It's just this communist, feminist, gynocentric indoctrination center.
Just more school is what that's another reason.
All that stuff off of a YouTube video, and then I'll be educated, right? And so you've got that generation of guys, but they're still looking for the dad I never had. That's why Jordan Peterson was wildly popular back in 2017, 2018. That's why a lot of these other guys, why the manosphere is becoming what you think it's becoming, because they're looking for a father, the dad they never had. They're looking for that masculine influence that sort of is a teacher that they're not getting in school, that they're not getting certainly from social media. They're not getting from the black pill. They're not getting from MGTOW. They're not getting from MRAs. And so they're looking for teachers. And that's why I keep harping on this, is that we are those teachers. You, me, like just being Gen X at 50 years old and having some fucking common sense. You know how marketable that is today?
Well, it's not. That's the problem. Is that the kids don't know what a
Yeah.
normal, healthy, masculine person is.
Yeah. They want Mike.
So that's why they follow
man.
these bigger than life characters.
Yeah, they want somebody who sounds like he's got his shit together and that they can look up to. And people keep saying, Rollo, your advice is this. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you nuts and bolts. I don't even have to give you and say, here, follow these steps. They'll make their own fucking steps that they think that I'm referring to, and I'm not. And so that's why I keep saying the red pill's a praxology, and it needs to stay a praxology. It is not an ideology, but people want it to be. Absolutely, they want it to be. They want it to be a set of beliefs. They want it. That's why you get these guys who are going, the coalition of masculine men, the liminal order, the apex group of, war
fathers and
dudes, right? Yeah, the
gorillas,
the League of masculine, manly men, right? And that's appealing because it seems like a direction. It seems like a purpose. It seems like these guys know what they're doing. I think I'll follow these dudes.
That unironically ends up being like a lampooning of it. Like, Rollo, you're a normal guy. You play guitar, you ride skidoos, you talk smack, you have good banter. Clary, the same thing. That's what normal guys are like. But it's not marketing. What's good marketing is a guy with his axe in the woods turning to the left with his thick, luscious beard. Because if you've never seen a man before, of course you're going to be drawn to that. Because that's what Chevy commercials and cigarette ads show. And you're like, that's a real man.
Dad,
Jack Murphy, that's the guy I want to be.
Yeah.
Then they find out he's not any good. And then they act like the teenager who just found out their dad's not Superman. Screw you, Dad. I'm out of here. You can't tell me what to do.
And they want a way out of that darkness too. They want a way out of the nihilism and the despondency that the black pill, because that's why black pill is very popular right now, because they're aimless and they don't know where to direct themselves to.
I would also add, just for anyone tuning in, I like to keep things simple. It's really simple. Did these people have a real job before they became who they were? And I'm deadly serious about that. It wasn't a glorious career, but I worked security, I taught ballroom dance, and I was in banking. You were in marketing and graphic design, and Ryan's a really swell guy. And no, he's a sailor, but all these people, if I were to go look at their LinkedIn profile, it's like, especially Anthony Johnson, that's why I asked about his youth. What did he do? Work McDonald's and then became conference manager?
Yeah, fantasy.
No. And Ryan and I talked about that as well. This is the Athol K paradox, right? It's like you work in you have a 9 to 5 cubicle job, and you're a shitty job, right? And suddenly a world of guys want to, they hang on your every word on YouTube, and you can monetize it and you can make all kinds of money off of it. And that's just, you don't even have to have a book. You just have to have a popular YouTube channel, and then you get your super chat money and you're getting advertising dollars. And if you don't even have to be a marketing genius, you just play the odds. You're probably
Jack Napier. He's a nobody. He's a complete European failure. He's even got my God, a miracle, Christmas miracle.
Put it this way: you can quit your day job. You can make more money than the cubicle job you probably spent 4 years in college to get. So of course they do. And then of course what happens is then you get this sort of feedback loop where the guys are like building you up, and you go, well, I'm making money off it. They're praising me all the time. I've left my job. I must be a success. What I say must be, gospel. So therefore then it keeps going and snowballing and everything else. And you end up living in your little pathological world. But if you take a guy like Roosh, you take a guy like Anthony Johnson, what's he going to go back to? He's only ever done conventions. He's never done anything else. That's it. Take that away from him, and he self-destructs. And that's why I backed up off of all that bullshit back in 2019, by the way, because I saw the potential for exactly what's going on with this Roman McClay character, right? That's why people say, well, how come Rollo didn't come out and just defend his name and clear his... I'm like, because this guy's fucking psychotic, and that I've seen him with his guns, and I know that you take away his personality, his pathological world. By the way, his pathological world that's built on the revenue created by the only thing he's ever done. So you take that away from him, and then that's when guys get zeroed out and they show up in your front door with its
pro wrestling, man. It's all pro wrestling.
No.
Dude, he bought his mark. That's the term they used for it. When Ultimate Warrior, like he changed his real life name to be Warrior. Like that's what happened here. Mm-hmm. Hulk Hogan's not Hulk Hogan. He's Terry. What is it? Terry Bollea or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah. And you got to remember that, like, everybody's like, oh, everybody's treating me like an alpha male. This is great. And they start buying their own nonsense, and they start feeding into the hype, and the other guys buy into the hype. And the audience kind of creates this monster. The monster acts out. They tear down the monster, and it's like this real cathartic scapegoating. Remember that back in the old, you're what, quarter Jewish or whatever?
Yeah, I'm a quarter Jew.
Isn't what that how you guys used to do it? You'd sacrifice a goat, and then all the sins of the town would go away for one.
He's an elf.
Yes,
you do remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, Brian.
And that was the whole point of Jesus, was that, okay, no more animal sacrifice. I sacrificed for all your sins. Now you're good to go. And now people are doing this.
That's also Christianity too. Because I don't know if you remember, my team murdered Jesus. So that's, I don't know how good you are at Bible or Torah.
I'm not picking sides here. It's cool. We call it a wash. You guys get NBC. They can have Christianity. It's fair. Yeah. But that's the point. Like, everybody's following these same things. Like, Rollo, you talk about the prodigal son. Go out, be a pickup artist, come back, find Jesus. That's not the only parable they're using. They're using this one too. Mm-hmm. Everybody's building up Jesus. Jordan Peterson was Jesus. Oh, diazepam. Well, Jesus is dead. And 3 days later, Peterson's daughter's coming on here. It's like, Rollo's a big dumb jerkhead. You're like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you're right, because they're looking for a savior is what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. That's why. And like, you'll notice also that since the earliest days, man, people go, that Rollo's got a messianic complex. I'm like, no, I don't. But you want a guy who does.
I was going to say, it's funny you went straight to that.
Absolutely want a guy who does. I have said from day one, I joke about it now, like, yeah, come join my cult.
I would love to see it. You guys ever see the movie The Warriors?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I could see you giving the speech. Can you dig it? I mean, like that would be your church.
That's why I joke about like Lucifer Morningstar. That's why I joke about being a cult leader and everything. I'm not serious, dude, but I'm pointing. Agree and amplify.
And here's the other thing,
right back in your lap, pal.
Shock everyone tuning in that think we're like messianic cult leader. No, we have lives. We have more important shit going on in our lives.
Well, you have strong values. That's the thing, right?
What?
You know who you are. You have a value set. You have an ethical guidelines. You built those out of hard work and time and failure and success.
Mm-hmm. Right. But
so
I just
when
want
you
to
get
say
into this and you get, how many guys are in your chat? 500 or 1,000, whatever.
Right
and they're
now,
telling you you're the greatest guy since sliced bread. You don't really believe that you're the new Jesus for these guys.
I even have to remind them. I'm like, no, guys, this is it. Like, they meet me in person. Like, oh my God, you do dress shitty in part. Like, yes.
That's the difference.
This isn't a joke.
But you had a job, and you've had somebody say you ain't shit before, and you believed it because you actually weren't. Yep. The 18-year-old kid that hasn't done anything but this before, the guy who's like, I used to be I used to pass off my wife at parties, and now I'm the masculine Tim Pool guest.
Who saw that coming? I did not see that come. I swear to God, I've been in this for 20 years. I did not see that coming.
It was a bit of a
knew
surprise.
about the cuckolding. By the way, I knew about the cuckolding article because everybody was saying, "Are you going to actually be at an event and speaking with a guy who was a cuck?" I'm like, what? And then they showed me the thing. I'm like, I've got the proof. That's when I told Anthony, I said, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea to have this guy here. I've got the text still, by the way. And, against my better judgment, that's the way it played out. But since then, he's sort of shown his true colors. And especially when I was at the Patriarchs convention after that, it was like, yeah, okay, I know what this guy's really about. Seeing him on Tim Pool, seeing him on Are You Here? You Are Here. Sorry, Are You Here? And everything else. And now, of course, we got the I don't know, the purple dildo video, and I'm
I didn't even know about that.
Hetero, whatever the hell. Like the
That's
dude
why
is
Chris sent me that image.
Yes, is what it is. And I'm like, okay, like that even like so I've been in this for a while, and it takes a lot to shock me. That shocked me. I was like,
well, one final question, and
then they buy all this. They buy the hype. They let the audience build them up. They actually start to believe they're really
the
this
nacho
popular
dealers.
person.
Yes,
And it takes a guy like you. It takes a guy like Rollo, who's like, I've done some shit in my life. I know where I am. I know who I am. So that when the audience start telling you guys are awesome, you're like, relax. Yeah, like I say, hate your audience just a little bit.
Yeah. One final question, because I do, Ryan, you were on top of this. Then I'm left to believe that this phenomena of these, I call them avatar experts, where they got their 20 to 40,000 subscribers on Twitter. They followed it, links to a Gumroad course. It's basic programming. And for the life of you, you cannot get a bio on these people. Are these actual people? Or are these just like programmers trying to get people to fork over their credit card accounts?
There's a Gumroad course somewhere that are like, this is how you start a brand, and they're following it step by step. I guarantee it.
It seems that way. That's what I'm saying. It's so formulaic, and you get booted and kicked off. But then I start looking up these things. There's at least multiple scores of these Twitter followers. And again, I don't know who they are. And I'm not saying that's the end all be all, but if I don't know who you are, there's chances you're a freaking nobody, and you just self-declared yourself someone.
Somewhere around here, there's some Gumroad course. That's where it all gets started. You find that, you find the source.
We find the mother being.
The mother mother alien.
I see what you're talking about, Aaron, because I've mentioned this again 2 days ago with Ryan. It was the nachos example, right? There's the good nachos you get at the restaurant with all the fixins and everything, and then there's then there's a kind you get at IMAX, which is like cheese and chips,
oil,
right? And so there's a lot of guys selling, stadium style nachos right now. Is the red pill there? The chips there? Yeah, but it's smothered in so much friggin' cheese that everybody wants. Like people would rather just have cheese soup than actually have the nachos. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of guys who come into this. I'm sure Ryan's correct in this, that there are probably online courses that will teach you how to be an online hustler. It's like now the hustlers are teaching the hustlers. And so now that's a hustle. And you read religion, obviously, so you know the rise of the hustle economy. I'm in it. You're in it. Everybody is in it. Okay, so we might as well accept the reality of the fact that this is what we're doing. But the hustle economy is such that people who have no business being in certainly not in dating coaches or red pill this or MGTOW that. One of the problems I have, and I know you like the guy, but one of the problems I have with guys like Coach Greg Adams and Joker is that it seems to me anyways that they came into this because seemed like the coolest thing to do at the time. And like, okay, well, I want to be they took the course and they said, I want to be a online hustler. What's going to be my niche? Let's see what's trending. Oh, MGTOW. Like if you go and you ask those guys if they're still MGTOW, I would wonder if they would still say that they aligned with MGTOW, even like Coach Greg Adams right now. And again,
remember Elliot Hulse when he was MGTOW there for a minute?
Not shitting on them. Maybe they're completely sincere about it. I don't know. You could have to ask them. But when they come in and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and I know because I was there 3,000 years ago, Gandalf, right? That when I'm seeing like clearly they have no clue what they're talking about, that's when I kind of gotta go. They're selling cheesy stadium nachos rather than like having any kind of understanding of what's going on. But people love it. They've got very well watched channels. They've got high sub counts. They've got good engagement. I'm sure they're making more money.
There's another thing about the two. They're friendly to me. They've been nothing but kind. And
I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying
Anthony Johnson has always been friendly to me face to face.
Yeah, exactly.
So is Jack Murphy.
And again, I'm not shitting on Joker, but like when the Jack Murphy thing came out and he started talking about Jack Murphy, and I'm listening to him talk about it, all it is just the hot thing. It's like the thing you want to name your title in your and in your description and put in your thumbnail. And you're going to get hits. You're going to get eyes on the screen. You're going to get engagement and impressions and click-through rate. That's what you're going to get for those. And you know, you just say, hey, there's this guy. His name is Jack Murphy. He's a cuck. Ha, look at him here. He's, you know, and you just point and sputter kind of thing. And then at the end of the show, you go MGTOW, buy my book. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Right. That's pretty much the gist of it. And people, give me more nachos.
No, it's definitely, you know,
that's why I think Joker's probably like the least worst of all of these guys, because he really kind of just reports the news. But I have to question like the reason why you're there in the first place.
Cool. Let's do this. Just give some general advice, like for anyone listening to like differentiate us from these guys. Well, I know you don't give advice, but like my rule, make sure they have jobs. Make sure they weren't living at home or off the government. Like, you know, that would be the number one thing.
Trade lives with them, yes.
Right, that kind of thing. Ryan, what do you got? I mean, aside from don't listen to some guy on the internet without a real face.
No. Well, I don't really care about that, because in real life, face guys are not really winning right now. Focus on the how. Ignore the why, ignore the what, ignore the who, focus on the how. And it sounds weird, but yeah, it's like who. You're not cult of personality. I don't need another dad. If I'm watching a guy on YouTube, it's because he's either entertaining or informative. I'm not going to watch a guy because I aspire to be him. And that's stupid. You shouldn't do that, because that guy's a guy. Jack Murphy was somebody's hero until 2 days ago.
Yep.
Think about that. Now, I don't know what Jack even talked about in this thing, but let's say he gave some guys like a bunch of how-to stuff, how to do something good. He used to teach at a public school. Maybe a guy wants to be a teacher. Probably has some great teaching advice. That's the how. Jack can go do whatever he wants with whatever. He can hide whatever he wants. Doesn't change the how, right? You can talk about ballroom dancing, how to teach your own ballroom dancing. That's a how. If somebody finds out you have a forward hat and they're like, I hate this guy, but like, yeah, but he still taught good ballroom dancing. Focus on the how. Ignore the why. You know, why are all women like this? Well, let me just break her apart like a Swiss watch and give you this convoluted, unfalsifiable, scientific, rational theorist. You're like, yeah. Why is a stupid question? Just tell me how. If I go to this date and I act all like, you know, smothering, she's going to flake. Okay, that's good. How? Good enough. And then avoid the what. Like, what do I have to believe? What are my ethics? What do I do with my life? It's nobody's job but you to figure that out for yourself. I actually have a really good essay. It's like a 10,000 worder on my blog. I don't talk about it much. It's called Sex and Violence. And it was a story about how when I got back from my deployment, I was talking to, on Remembrance Day, our version of Patriots Day, to a bunch of veterans. I met some Korean War vets. And he was excited. He's like, oh, you guys just got back. Well, tell me, young sailor, tell me about your stories. And I talked about Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And I talked about the Indian Ocean and Thailand. And he laughed. And I'm like, what did you do? Yeah, I went into Korea. They dropped me off in a parachute and said, blow anything up that had an engine and we'll see you in 3 months. It kind of deflated me right there, right? So I kind of realized, and it turns into this big thing where everybody has these ideas of masculine men or this and that. And it's like, he didn't choose. The Queen's like, I need you there to do this stuff. So he went and did it. But nobody tells us anymore what to be a man is. So we kind of lost that queen and country, have a good job, like all those narratives have basically fallen apart. So you're on your own. So all that's left is, what do we do that only we can do? And sex and violence is like my argument there, but that's the point. Plop yourself down somewhere. This is me. I dare you to fucking move me. And that's all you can do. And if a content creator can help you achieve that, great. But if they're trying to tell you where to sit down, fuck them.
Or where to go or how to, right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how. Don't tell me why or who or what, just how.
Right.
Cool. Rolo, what do you got?
I can tell you what to watch out for. Like it'd be kind of silly for me to go here and describe myself and say, this is what you should look for in a guru, right? Because that's what everybody will say. Well, you're just building yourself up.
Top 12 things to look out for in a guru.
Exactly. Well, if you see a guy who gives you like 5 things to know if she's cheating, or, you know, what, anybody who's selling you a list, be wary of that guy. A list of something is pretty much a formula, and people love it because it seems like, oh, one step by step because we want, you know, easy solutions. We live in the TLDR generation, which is too long didn't read. Okay, we have the internet never forgets, but everybody online forgets. They have their attention span is like freaking the squirrels, man. And so that is something that I think that guys really need to bear in mind, because a lot of times, like, I'll put out, like, Ryan will get on me for this all the time, is like, I'll put out like red meat videos, but I'm always selling the steak with the sizzle. That's what I'm saying, is like, if all a guy is selling you is sizzle, if all he's selling you is the cheese and there's no chips in the nachos, right? That's and that's up to the viewer. The other thing is this, like I was saying before, that you got this Lost Boys generation who are looking for teachers. If you are getting into this, sphere, for whatever hell we're calling it now, understand that guys are going to look at you as a teacher, as a father that they didn't have, as the teacher that they didn't have, as the guru. That's why I say you're a guru, right? That's like a step away from cult leader. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for somebody whose direction that they can attach themselves to. And that's why I say that I don't offer prescriptions. I'm not in the business of making men making men better men. I don't want guys to be Rollo Tomasi men. I want you to be your own man. So I'm in the business of men making themselves better men. If you can say that about the guy that you're watching, then please continue to watch that guy, continue to follow that guy, continue to learn from that guy, because if that's going to be your teacher, then you have to, it is incumbent upon you. It is the onus of your education is on the student, because the student has to say, this guy's worth listening to, and this guy is not worth listening to. This guy is feeding me like good, good steak with the sizzle, and this guy is just all nacho cheese, right? So, and what is it that you want? I think a lot of times, like, people don't ask themselves, why is it that I find this so engaging? Why is it that YouTube throws these as suggestions in my videos, like, hey, what I'm gonna watch today on YouTube? Why is it that this comes up in the algorithm for me? What is it about me that makes this show up, right? And people don't have that insight. They're too locked in to TLDR, man. 9 times out of 10, when I do when I'm doing like video shorts for my channel, like if I do they're not even like 59, they're 59-second videos. And I can tell immediately when somebody comments on that, they get lots of comments, lots of views, because they're real short, real easy to digest little info bites, right? I can tell immediately that they didn't even watch a 59-second video by reading the comment. They just looked at the video, looked at the title, looked at like maybe the first 3 comments that were the top 3 comments, and they go, yeah, fuck him, he sucks. Oh, look at his beard. Oh, he's got a ponytail. Fuck this guy. That's their mentality. Hit and run, drive-by comment, and they move on to the next thing. They're not, but you know what? They're still looking at it. That's what popped up in their algorithm. That's what popped up in their suggestions in their YouTube.
It's refined sugar.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's freaking Captain Crunch is what it is. So it had no nutritional value, but damn, it tastes good. I love Captain Crunch.
And you're hardwired for it, because cavemen used to survive off of sugar because it was so hard to find.
The onus of your education as a quote unquote student, if you're directionless and you're a lost boy and you're looking for purpose, it is on you to vet your gurus, to vet your teachers, to say why, and then vet yourself to say, why is it that I find this so fascinating? Well, what is about me that I need that I'm looking at this guy for? Most guys aren't going to do that. They lack the insight. It's TLDR. They're not going to go for it. And then the other thing is also be able, I know this is a tall order, but be able to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to like guys. Like I've been looking at this one video. It's what's her name? Brittany Venti. And then she's on with this guy, Rekieta Law or something like that.
She's been around for Rekieta Law. Yeah, Rick's good.
Law, right? And these guys are and Undead Chronic is on there. I know him from like, MGTOW Black Pill guys. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, they're commenting on Jack Murphy. And it's like, hey, yeah, fuck him. Look, he's a cock. Look, he's taking a dildo in his ass. Like it's this middle school mentality going off. And the only they didn't even know who the fuck this guy was prior to like maybe they certainly didn't know him before he came on Tim Pool. And this guy wasn't even on the radar. Put him in a big stage and have him, sniffing his wife's underarm or something like that. And now they're the foremost authorities on Jack Murphy. Get the fuck out of here. You guys didn't even know who he was before then. And you have to, I can't tell the average kid on YouTube, like these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm not trying to defend
now
Jack.
You're a hater and you're just jealous.
But the thing is like, understand where consider the source. They didn't know who he was. They could give a shit who Jack Murphy was. They didn't even know who he was until he told Sydney Watson to fuck off on her own show. Then suddenly he shows up on the radar. And then he arrives in the titles of all their YouTube videos and their descriptions, their hashtags and their shorts and their thumbnails. like if you are following a guy, I think one of the best things you can do, here's some advice. If you're following somebody that you think is a great, like Ricky Edelaw, whatever, whoever this is, like Kevin Samuels, look at what they've done on their YouTube, and look at their thumbnails, and look at where they've gone from like when they started to where they are right now. Where was the pivot? Kevin Samuels used to hawk men's fragrances. I think he still does to a lesser extent, but that used to be his grift. That wasn't working out. Then when he switched to like men's style, it kind of worked out a little bit. And then he went red pill. Boom. Now he's like 1 million subs immediately. Same thing with Fresh and Fit, man. Fresh and Fit, like Myron was doing fitness stuff before he did Fresh and Fit. He starts, read my books, had me on, to his credit, built up this sort of, podcasting empire, and boom, go straight to the top. Well, as you were saying before, did these guys have day jobs before? What were they doing beforehand? And what kind of videos were they doing? If you go and you look at that schmuck, Kevin Ray Wilder,
Good Jewish word.
If all these guys are doing is take down videos all the time, well, that should say that this is all nothing but nacho cheese and no chips.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna, for everyone who did make super chats, I'm gonna do a Miss Super Chats video after this, so your money was not wasted. Ryan, tell us about your book and where we can find you.
Oh, everybody already knows the book. Right now, the thing is just the merch came out, and dude.
Oh, that's right, merch. I'm sorry, merch.
Podcast. Don't eat paint. Don't eat paint. Paint used to be filled with lead. It tasted sweet, but it damn well killed you. And if that's not the perfect example right now, don't eat paint.
Where does one go to buy a mug that says not to eat paint?
Store.ryanstone.com. I'll put a link in there for you guys.
Store.
Enjoy yourselves. I honestly am having fun with this. And guys, look, just laugh. This is all just ridiculous marketing nonsense. Nobody cares. Have fun with it. Just don't. Be careful, because when they attack your limbic brain with this oversaturation, it's because you become easier to market to when you stop thinking rationally. So just remember, at the end of the day, it's all about buying more widgets. Even us, I'm telling you right now, we're attacking your limbic system, so you buy more mugs. Just be aware of it, so don't get it unless you actually like it.
Rolo, do you have any books or products? Have you ever done anything?
I got a few. I've got, Religion is now on Audible. I guess that's the big news. That was from back in September. So my 4th book, Religion, is out and available. It's in the wilds, coming up on a year, actually. I am closing very quickly on my 5th book right now, which is going to be a player's handbook. It's going to be a guide to game, not actually like, here's how you do it. It's like why things work kind of thing. I'm hoping it's going to end up being like sort of a field guide kind of thing. And hopefully other guys who are dating coaches will actually want to use this book in whatever it is that they're doing. It's sort of like the psychological Evo Psych, Evo Bio kind of like underpinnings as to why these things work or they don't work, or why they might work for you and might not work for somebody else. So that's what I'm working on right now. I am going to be in Houston, Texas on the 7th through the 9th for George Gammon's Rebel Capitalist Conference.
Oh, good old George. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be there with Justin Waller. I will be there also with Robert Kiyosaki, and I will also be there with Ron Paul, who is scheduled to speak at that event as well.
Bunch of nobodies, bunch of no names.
Nobodies, yeah. Who's this Rolo freak? And I'm going to be doing a 1 hour workshop, or maybe 2. Who knows? You know how long I go. But I have a room reserved, a conference room reserved for that Friday, which is the 7th of January. If you're already going, you can come to it. All I'm asking is like $100 donation on my Patreon. And even if you're like, that's a little steep, that's fine. Just show up. I don't care. I don't have a limit or anything like that. This is just sort of like testing the waters for other things later on. It's like proof of concept. I'll be there. Justin Waller will be there. I'll be doing the talk, and we're just going to be hanging out and probably doing video and maybe do some impromptu interviews, but that will be next weekend in Houston. And if you haven't seen it already, I actually did an interview with Michaela Peterson, which is all
I don't know if I want to watch it.
All the cool kids are talking about it. Actually, it went off, and I think it went better than I think I had very low expectations for it, but it went really well. And I think it was a pretty good interview, on whole anyways. And I looked at the comments, and man, they're really actually very positive. I was kind of like thinking that everybody's going to, run me up the flagpole because, defend my girl, Michaela. But so that's out now. It's on her channel. If you want to go look at that, that's what's going on. And then tomorrow, Ryan, we're doing Rule Zero, right?
Yeah, end of year. I was actually going to talk to you guys about it. Turns out we have so much content, it's hard to pull out the review stuff.
It's going to be on your channel as well. So tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Ryan's channel, we'll do the year-end show at the beginning of the year. But that's just the way it worked out. But we'll be doing that tomorrow on Ryan's channel as well.
11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll probably tune in, join you guys.
That'll be in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, and that's it for me.
Cool. And then for all of you who don't know who I am, came in here with Rian or Rollo, you get my books, Bachelor Pad Economics, flagship book on financial stuff. And then the Book of Numbers, analyzing the ROI in the pursuit of women. If you have any questions, you can go to assholeconsulting.com, where you'll get this lovely face to yell and scream at you on the internet because you're a moron and you made a stupid choice. You want me to solve it for you. That's it. I will be doing super chats after this. Please subscribe if you haven't, because I want to get to 100,000, because nothing happens, right, Rollo? It's just you get a plaque. That's about it.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. Are you at 100,000 yet? You're not 100K yet.
No, I'm at 84.1.
You'll get there.
Is this the new talking about your book thing we're going to have now?
You get the silver plaque, and YouTube now pays attention to you.
Okay, good. Maybe I don't want to go to 100,000. Maybe I'll just stay at 90. I don't want YouTube paying attention to me. But all right, well, gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right.
Peace.